Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to a truly special online event today. It's called Are Your Loved Ones Reaching Out from the Afterlife? Discover the Signs and Feel Their Presence with John Holland. My name is Stephen Dinan. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network. And one of the things that I've realized in recent years is that the communication with the other side, with those in the afterlife, really has so much potential to transform our life on Earth, not only to heal wounds, but to open new collaborations, to really focus on how do we make this life a shining example for everyone, really. And the beings on the other side have a very important role to play in that. And we're going to learn a lot about how to communicate with them, build relationship and rapport with one of the pioneers in this field. His name is John Holland. He is a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. He's done different books, radio shows. He's done a lot in this space and is really going to help us illuminate some of the deeper dimensions of after death communication. And if you get sparked by today, we're going to have a brand new course with him. We're very excited about it. We'll show more about it towards the end of the hour. It's called Learn After Death Communication with John Holland. So with that said, John, thank you so much for joining.
I'm thrilled to be here, Stephen. Hello, how are you?
I'm great. So let's dive in with you. And I want to know about your backstory. What really propelled you to become a medium? And I think it's an unusual career choice, and you've obviously been very successful at it and devoted a lot of decades to it. So what propelled you in this direction?
Well, I didn't really have a choice, Stephen. I think my first book is called Born Knowing because I was born this way. You know how people say when they have a spiritual awakening, they start questioning their beliefs, or they're not believing what people they're being told anymore. They have like a spiritual awakening. I think when I was born, I was already awake, hence the words Born Knowing. So I'm from New England, Boston, Irish Italian Catholic family. I'm one of five kids. And like many of the audience members or people that are watching, probably, I always say, are you the different one in the family? I was the different one in the family. I have two other brothers. While they were out playing sports, I was either drawing or studying psychic phenomena, anything that had to do with psychic ability, spirits, angels, miracles, um, even religion, theology, even chemistry. I was fascinated by that. My favorite TV shows, Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, Dark Shadows. So that's where I was drawn. And even though society and my family tried to push me to do it the other way, I was just born intuitive. I knew things I couldn't possibly have known as a kid, who was going to visit, who was sick, when the phone was going to ring. I could read people's thoughts. So, like society, Stephen, too, I was made fun of. So I hid the ability, or I pushed it down. And my teenage friends knew that I was always like this and I could do a couple of things for them. I still studied though what psychic ability is. So I never set out to do this work. I pushed it down. Then an automobile accident. I was living in Los Angeles. I lived there for 12 years. An accident awoke these abilities. I was doing a jobs, all kinds of different jobs. I was in a relationship probably I didn't belong into. I was young in my 20s, living the high life in LA, and parties and discos and the whole thing. But then this accident happened, and I think you understand this word, Stephen. I became aligned. I didn't, I didn't, I wasn't upset. I looked up to heaven and I said, thank you, God. That was my wake up call to get my life together. And when I did that, that's how my sole purpose, psychic ability and art, started to come back. I started studying psychic ability again. I took a Reiki class. I uh, I studied with a mentor. I learned healing, what healing was about. So that was my path. That was my sole purpose. So that accident kind of woke me quite loudly. And that's when things started to happen. And I never set out to do this. I was always intuitive as a kid. I needed to know and wanted to know. No problem being psychic or intuitive. How do I turn it on? How do I turn it off? I'm a big, big advocate of the mechanics of how this ability works. So that's where my teaching started too, Stephen. And one thing led
Mhm.
to another. And I know you've had programs on synchronicity. One thing led to another. Once I became aligned, which just means doing what I was supposed to be doing, that's when doors started opening, which led me to doing readings at an aromatherapy shop on the weekends. Still never quit my day job. 2 years into that, people on the other side started showing up. And I'm really down to earth about this, being from the East Coast. I'm like, I'm doing intuitive readings. Now people are showing up, someone's mother, their father, their son. What is this? Hence the word mediumship. I started studying spiritualism, okay, about the afterlife. And one thing led to another. Really true story. I read these books from the Bodhi Tree Bookstore in Los Angeles about spiritualist mediums and how they live their lives. And I said, well, how are they doing this? How are they living their lives? How do they deal with it? So then really what happened, 2 weeks into reading these books, just 2 weeks, I said, if I could just go to England and study with these people. 2 weeks into these books, I'm at a party. I stepped on a person's foot. Where were they from? England. I got invited over there, and I trained there for over 2.5 years as a medium, still not wanting setting out, oh, I want to be a psychic medium, an author, a spiritual teacher. I wanted to know what is happening to me and the mechanics of how this worked. One thing led to another, to another. Then I got signed on with Hay House Publishing, toured with them. I've been with them for 22 years. So I've been blessed. Hasn't always been easy, but I've been blessed. And then I started demonstrating in front of audiences of 3,000 people with Hay House, to learning to teach others that love is real, that love is the bridge to the other side, and they can communicate with you. And I
Mm.
noticed too, though, Stephen, something is changing. I used to do events where people get a message that they'd be happy, but this is happening too. The consciousness is changing of man. They don't want to just the connection from another medium, because if you get it from a medium, think about it, you're getting it secondhand. They want to know, John, are my loved ones still with me? They're asking bigger questions. Are they with me? Can they see me? How can I connect with a loved one? So if you
Mhm.
think about it, if a medium gives you a message, you're getting it secondhand. You can learn how to do it yourself to be your own medium. So basically, in a nutshell, there's my story.
That's quite a story. And
Yeah,
I also see that more and more people they want to learn how to fish rather than just receive a fish. And that there's something very just uniquely powerful about the communication across the veil to somebody that you love, who's now only in spirit form,
sure.
that really changes lives. When did you start? So when did that become real for you? So you had a lot of more general psychic abilities and talents. What sort of proved to you that you were like, okay, this is a real evidential communication that just blew my mind and opened heart. So you knew that there was really another being that you were communicating with.
Well, it I used to see them in my room at night in my bedroom, and I thought I was dreaming. I would see people like in different clothes, and I just thought overactive imagination or I was dreaming. So I saw them as a kid and I felt them, and it was always there. But I never really had a word for it. I think the very first time I knew it was real. It's a good question. Remember, I told you about I started doing readings in an aromatherapy shop. Somebody invited me. I said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do readings. What if I'm wrong? People's lives are in your hand. What if I'm not good at this? But little by little, I went through the fear and I worked at it. So 2 years into doing this work, people started to show up on the other side. The very first one that showed up, I was reading for a woman. She was studying art, and we were just talking about her artwork, where she's going with her project, and talking about colors. As I'm talking to her, I could see in my mind's eye a woman right beside her. And the elderly woman, she was just tapping her ring, and her clothes didn't match. And I said, Maury, there's a woman right beside you. Her clothes don't match, and she's tapping a diamond ring. Well, when that happened, she screamed. I screamed. She hugged me. I hugged her. And I said, what was that? Because I had no clue, Stephen. And she said, John, my great aunt Ada, who passed away, was colorblind. She never wore the same colored clothes or different colored clothes because she was colorblind. And the ring I'm right here that I'm wearing is the ring that I inherited, her diamond. So that
Wow.
was the very first time. And then one thing after another. And I try to get away from this work because it was becoming too much, working all the time, 9 to 5, seeing people on the weekends. But it was always a parent of a child that always showed up. And I said, this is why I'm supposed to be doing this work.
Mm.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about some of the ways that the relationship with a being on the other side in the afterlife changes and the communication changes from what we typically think of as kind of more just normal sort of embodied human to embodied human communication?
Sure. I mean, when people pass away, okay, our loved ones pass away, right? The connection is still there. It's just the language has changed. The language of spirit. It's through thoughts, words, images, and feelings. And we have to learn how to use that ability, which I help people do. And so it's a different kind of language. And when you have a connection, knowing that your loved one is okay, knowing that they still exist on the other side, the connection hasn't been lost, Stephen. Okay, they're trying to still get us our message, but we don't know when they're sending it. Or say you even get a message from a loved one, we explain it away, right? You could ask, You might feel a loved one behind you. You'll look at the heat in your room to see if there's a vent there, or you'll feel a breeze, or you'll smell a certain aroma of a cigar or your mom's cologne. We're so good at explaining it away. When you understand the language of spirit, right, it just helps you solidify the fact that they are still connected to you. And there, but there are some things too that I tell people. Those on the other side, they take their cues from you. If they know you're going to be upset by a message or so, they'll go to somebody else or they'll wait till the perfect time. Having a connection with your loved one on the side makes you realize how important this life is, Stephen. How important it is to say what you have to say to the people here. They can't, I look at it this way, they can't interfere with karma, but they can guide you. They can put you at the right place at the right time. They can show up in your dreams. There's many ways that they come through. So the connection can still continue. It's just that they're in different form and the language has changed. And you just have to learn how to interpret those, whether you're seeing, feeling, hearing, or seeing, which we'll probably discuss.
Hmm. What are some of the other ways that communication is? So there's like a kind of a more verbal form of communication. When you're communicating with spirits on the other side, what other ways of communicating are they working with often?
Well, it depends also what ability that you have to, what's your strongest, and you know the word clairs. You've heard it enough, clairsentient, clairvoyant, clairaudient, claircognizant. So they will come through the way that some people, most people ask for a sign, okay, just like the topic here, okay, with the subject of this webinar. The subject asks for a certain sign. There's so much you could get that sign, all right, but they come in your dreams. You may feel their presence around you. You may smell a certain cologne of your mom's. There may be simply knowing that they are there. And sometimes this happens where a loved one has passed and you're in a parking lot and you look over, oh my God, that's my dad. That's my dad, but their dad passed. And then as you get closer, you see that it's really not them. It's almost like they're superposing themselves on them.
Hmm.
So there's many ways. And remember these words, even too. There's an intelligence to the spirit world. They know, and they've been trying to get your attention all the time. It's us who explain it away or don't pay attention or don't even know that there are even signs.
Hmm. So when you sort of start to think that there's a sign like that, that you kind of there's something symbolic, how do you work with that to sort of discern, is that really a message or is that just kind of like something I'm hoping for?
Absolutely. Some people say this, is this my imagination? Am I making this up? And I look at it this way. When you get a sign from a loved one, whether you're feeling or a dream or a sign, you see a sign that you asked for, or you feel a presence or a smell. Okay. When you get that sign, um, it kind of settles in your soul, Stephen. It settles in your heart. It really, really does, right? Whereas something that you're making up, your mind starts to flit back and forth. It could be this. It usually just settles immediately, right? But I often say too, say you want a feather, okay? Your sign is a feather from your dad. You're at the beach and you find all these feathers. They're seagulls, okay? They're at the beach. That's going to happen, all right? So there's more of a settling when you know it in your heart and soul, and that's the best way to describe it. When you're making it up, your mind starts to flitter, just like intuition. You know when you get an intuitive hit, but it starts to jump around when it's really your mind or your imagination.
Makes sense. What are the things that you start now, sort of moving into the teaching people how to make this bridge themselves? Like, what are the things to just become aware of some of our own blocks or challenges to starting to build this bridge of communication?
Well, one of the things that stops us, right? I think fear, because I think too many people, Stephen, and how many television shows and movies have portrayed this work or the spirit world or medium as woo-woo, way out there? I think people expect dramatic results when they get a sign when it's very, very subtle. Okay. They're not going to scare you. The signs are very, very subtle. I think also that people's faith maybe stops this. People's listening to other people or other people's belief, because you would know in your soul that they exist on the other side. And you may have a family member or a friend who says, oh, you're listening to all that. So other people's beliefs also can come into this for people to stop the connection. Basically, we stop ourselves from it when you should be open to this. It's natural. It's been happening for thousands of years.
Hmm. You mentioned before building that sense of trust. And so a lot of times trust comes from validated experience. Maybe share a little bit, how do you see the trust building process of opening the communication?
I think little by little, and I tell well, when I'm teaching students, to become mediums, I'll say trust. Start off small. Start off small. They want like this big piece of evidence. When we do this, it's called the CERT formula. Okay, we teach this confirmation. Okay, I feel like I have a man or woman here. All right. And I feel like they're 75 years old, around 70 years old. And then you get into the E, which is evidence. Okay. I feel like they're telling me about that they worked as a mechanic. They're talking about their two children, their two girls. You're bringing in the evidence of this. R, return. Why are they here from the other side? What is the message that they want? And then T, you tie up the loose ends, which means that anything that the recipient or the person that you work with doesn't understand, you're able to go back to it. So when you learn that way too, the basic part of it, it also helps.
That makes a lot of sense. So maybe take us, yeah, through like, so
The
somebody,
trust builds, Stephen, in other words. I'm sorry. The trust starts to build more and more once you understand the mechanics and you start off little by little and you
uh-huh,
get that evidence and you say, you know what? I know that's them. I know that's them.
great. So maybe share a little bit more about the mechanics and those steps of the sort of starting to, just initially build the communication sense of like how do you start things off? What do you sort of look for right out of the gate?
You mean when I'm working with people?
If you're teaching somebody else how to do this.
Oh, okay. As a medium, you mean?
Hmm.
Okay. I tell them too to follow the CERT formula, the confirmation, evidence, R, return. Who are you working with? Because you may have somebody that just goes off and, says, oh, they're so showing me the sea, the seashore. Well, what does that mean, right? Who is talking to you? Is it man or woman? Is it a male or female? Are they young or old? How did they pass? So you're really given their name, rank, and serial number. That's how I start off with them. And little by little, they may know they have a man. Okay, they know that he passes out, and there's some congestion in the chest when he passes, but then you build on that. That's why, with mediumship, you let the evidence build and build and build. Same thing with doing it for yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, so maybe share some stories of people who have started to build this and what, things that came through that really became life-changing for them and just kind of inspire us with some stories of
Well,
communication.
remember I told you about how some people explain it away. Okay, so I'm doing this conference, right? I don't know, there's about 3,000, 3,200 people in the audience. Okay, and I asked the audience, how many here feel that they might have gotten a sign from a loved one? Woman raises her hand, and she's an older woman. She raises her hand. I had them bring her to the mic, and I said, "Okay, darling." I said, "Tell me." She said, she said her mother grew prize roses. Okay, she grew prize roses, and she would always win the blue ribbons. Okay, now she lives in New England. This was where it was in New England. This seminar conference, and she said, on the anniversary of my mom's passing. Remember, her mom grew prize roses. On the anniversary of my mom's passing in December, my whole house filled with the scent of roses. And I was so excited because I slid across the stage and I said, "Oh my God, darling." I said, "What do you think that was?" She said, "Well, I thought it was the Glade air freshener from my neighbor." And I went, "Oh my God. Oh my God." And I said, "Do you mean," and this was during one of the storms that it had, she got this sign. I said, "It's a New England winter, storm windows. So somebody sprays an air freshener in another house, and you think that it wafted into your house and filled your whole house with roses?" She goes, "Well, I didn't know what else to think." Of course, that was a sign on the
Hmm.
anniversary of her mom's passing, but we explained it away. After that, she started getting her own signs. She was more aware. She was educated that the intelligence of the spirit world, it can be a simple sign or it can be as dramatic as that at the same time. And the same thing with students. When I see students who, and the best students are the ones who say, I don't have a psychic bone in my body. When they go through the process, like one woman, she was a student, and they're reading for each other. And her own mom had breast cancer, the one who was being the medium. And the woman in front, the recipient, lost her mom also from breast cancer. So what happens is, those on the other side, you have a psychic data bank that starts to slowly fill, Stephen, with everything you've ever done, experienced, every place you've been, every place you saw, every photograph. Spirit knows how to go into your data bank and pull out information that's going to resonate with the person. So once that happened, that's when that student started getting better and better at it. We all have an intuitive box that those, I look at it like a psychic data bank, like a computer, that the people on the other side say, okay, how can I get them to say this name or this condition or this part of the world? It's fascinating. I'm always fascinated, I'll say it again, by the process, not me. I'm just the vessel. I'm just a human tube that can give information intuitively and receive well. It's the process, Stephen, that gets me going. I love doing mediumship. I also love teaching people the connection on their loved ones on the other side never ends,
Mhm.
how it happens. Yeah.
That's very intriguing, the idea that sometimes the people who have the most skepticism are often the best readers. And so,
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
entering in with some humility about our skills sounds like it's actually can be helpful.
Because there's no expectation, Stephen, right? They don't,
Yeah.
you know, someone who's studying mediumship, they go from one teacher to another, which happens progressively. They get nervous, like, okay, I hope I can do this. When someone comes into new, like some of your people here, right? There's no expectations. They don't have the fear. Okay. So it's fantastic when you see it happening right in front of you.
hmm Can you share more about the sort of the feeling the presence component? I tend to often open more psychically with just information, but like the power of sort of like working with kind of the felt sense of connecting with like the being's actual spirit presence, if you will.
Right. A lot of people, they put down the feeling part, Stephen. Okay. When I'm teaching an intuitive psychic development class, people say to me, John, I want to see and I want to be clairvoyant. I want to see into the spirit world. And I said, look at your own world first. Okay. Because we're so focused on, you know, our phones that the outside world can be a wonderful schoolhouse. But when it comes to feeling, when I started developing, I would sit in class in England every Tuesday at 6 o'clock, and if I was late, they would lock the door. I was with other mediums, and we had to learn to allow those on the other side to come close, to invite them. And then what I started doing, Stephen, was I could feel every time a connection was going to be made, I could feel like a warm blanket on my shoulders. And I knew that that was a guide coming in or a loved one. That was my sign. Over the months and years that I
Hmm.
started to keep doing this, I don't need that sign. So the feeling you have, you could feel, and we teach people too in the class, what does it feel like to have a mom? What does it feel like to have a dad? What does it feel like? Because someone like, well, what do you mean you feel a dad? Well, think about think of a father figure who you've loved. Okay. Think of a father figure who you've loved, right? What does that feel like? What is the character like? So learning to feel, I tell people, do not put down your clairsentient ability. That's how you know when you meet someone for the first time. I like them or I don't. Or you can walk into a room. I don't like the feel of this room. I don't like the feel of this furniture. Clairsentient is one of the most powerful and most um, common one that we all have as intuitive beings. This vessel, this
Hmm.
intuitive antenna.
Nice. Well, I know you're wanting to take us into a bit of an experiential to taste some of what can happen in starting to build this, crossing this threshold. So I know you're going to do a memory doorway threshold technique. So it sounds really interesting. So why don't we take some time to cue that up a little bit, maybe where you develop this, and then we can all join the experience with you.
Yeah, so this is the memory doorway technique that I like to teach, and especially for the shift audience, because it's passive. It's passive. It's not you just sitting there. You're actually taking part of the meditation. And notice I say doorway. Okay, that's a clue. And threshold, because you're going to be on the threshold of this world and the spiritual realm. So you are. This is an active meditation, an active technique. So when you're ready, I'm ready to begin.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. We're going to use the memory doorway threshold. A familiar open doorway in your mind. Picture a doorway in your mind, everyone. It could be your front door, a doorway where you grew up. It could be where your loved one from the other side, that's the last place they live. Just close your eyes and just imagine that doorway. Close your eyes. And let's begin by just settling your body. Great. Take a slow, gentle breath in through your nose and a long breath out through your mouth. Beautiful. Again, breathe in and breathe out through the mouth. Let your shoulders soften. Let them drop. One more time. Comfortable breath in and out, releasing any tension that you're holding right now. Beautiful. Let your jaw relax. Soften the muscles around your eyes. Let your hands rest naturally in a comfortable position. Beautiful. Feel the support beneath you, the chair, the bed, the couch, holding your weight so you just don't have to hold yourself up. Now bring your awareness to your feet. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your breath. You don't have to change it. Just follow it for a few moments. In and out. Allow your heart space to feel just a little more open, a little more available. Good. Now, in your mind, I'd like you to picture a familiar open doorway. It might be a doorway in your current home, a doorway from childhood, a favorite place you visited, your loved one's doorway from their home, or even a doorway from your imagination. It all offers safety and it's comforting. There is no wrong doorway, just let it appear. See yourself standing a few steps in front of this open doorway. Notice the details, the color, the material. Marks on the door, patterns. Maybe the way the light hits it. This doorway exists because of the bond and relationship you share with your loved one. Love itself becomes the bridge. This open doorway is going to become a meeting place between you and your loved one in spirit. Take a gentle breath in again. And feel your loved one's presence somewhere beyond that open doorway. You might not see them yet. Just have the sense that they are aware of you, that they know you are here, and that they are already sending you love. Now slowly, in your mind, begin to walk toward this open doorway. It's okay, you're safe. Until you come right up to the threshold. That little line where one space ends and another begins. You are standing at that threshold now. This is that in-between place between your everyday world and the subtle world of the spiritual realms. Take a moment to feel your feet planted here at this threshold. You are safe. You are loved. And your loved one is meeting you right there at this edge, the threshold. Beautiful. As you stand there, I'd like you to gently bring your loved one to mind. Bring a loved one to mind, the one you want to connect with today. Think of them by name. Let their image or their feeling or simply their presence come closer to you at this threshold. Imagine them healthy, whole, and smiling. The way you most love to remember them, because in reality, that's how they are. Now, before we ask questions, just know sometimes the very first thing that shows up is our own grief, missing them, feeling tender or sad. That is completely okay and completely normal. We're not trying to get rid of those feelings. We're simply seeing what they might be offering underneath all of that. Now, from this shared space, we'll ask them our first question. Silently in your own heart, Ask your loved one, what do you want me to remember? What do you want me to remember? Then just listen and receive. You don't have to force anything. It might be a specific memory or scene, a tiny detail, a word, a phrase, a symbol, a quality about them, or even a sudden knowing. Whatever comes through is enough. Spend a few breaths now, quietly receiving the answer. What do you want me to remember? Gently hold whatever you were shown or felt as a little gift from them. Just hold on to that. You don't have to understand it fully right now. Just acknowledge it. Now, still standing together at the threshold of the open doorway, we'll ask the second question. What do you want me to feel underneath everything else? What do you want me to feel underneath everything else? Again, don't go looking for words or trying to force a certain feeling. Instead, notice what begins to shift inside your body and your heart. What begins to shift inside your body and heart? You might first notice your own sadness or how much you miss them. If that's there, simply recognize it with kindness. Then see if you can sense a quieter feeling, a gentler feeling underneath all of that. Perhaps a warmth in your chest, a softening, a sense of being held, peace, love, reassurance, courage, or even a gentle calm. Let the deeper, quieter feeling be their way of answering, this is what I want you to feel right now. This is what I want you to feel right now. Allow yourself a few breaths to receive that feeling. Let it spread through your chest, your shoulders, down your arms, through your whole body. You don't have to hold on to it tightly. Just allow yourself to be surrounded by it. Feel it. Beautiful. You're safe. You're loved. Let it surround you. Beautiful. Now take a moment to bring both answers together. What they wanted you to remember and what they wanted you to feel underneath everything else. Imagine those gifts coming together as a soft light in your heart. With each breath, breathe in, breathe that light a little bit deeper into your chest. Know that this open doorway and threshold are now yours. And you can visit them anytime you wish. If it feels right to you, you can now imagine yourself very gently standing just one small step beyond that doorway, knowing that you carry their message and their feeling with you. You're stepping back. Or maybe simply You choose to remain right at that threshold, knowing that even that in-between place is a sacred meeting point. Either way is perfect. It's okay. Deep breath in, slow one out. Stepping back and let that doorway, the image, begin to fade, trusting that you can call it back at any time. Bring your bring your attention back to the feeling of your body here in this room, the support beneath you, the sounds that are around you. Beautiful. And then just move your fingers, your toes, across that feeling. What do you want me to remember? What do you want me to feel? Beautiful. Yeah. That's the doorway threshold technique.
Hmm. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm sure there's a lot of tenderness out there from messages received, and really appreciated just having the feeling go through your whole body too. So it's
Oh,
just not a cognitive exercise. So it is
well,
really
you
is.
did say yourself, how do you trust that feeling? Because you're more of a feeler, like many people. And there's nothing more than feeling somebody's love and feeling a presence. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. Once that you've crossed that threshold and started to build that connection, how do you recommend deepening to keep the channel open?
Oh, you can keep doing it. You become what you can start doing your own practices and learning the mechanics of the other side and how they work with us. So a little more, if people took that and took it to um, the next level, there's other doors you can open also, right?
Mm,
So that technique is always there and it will build and build, and you'll start to see more, feel more, and hear more as you're doing this. Yeah.
mm. Say more a little bit. You said how they work with us and more what you've learned about how this. So we were talking a little bit more first on our abilities opening, but then how do they sort of develop the connection from their side too?
Well, when you study to be a medium, you have to work that there's an, first of all, you have to get to understand that there is an intelligence to the spirit world, okay? But they have their ways of, when we do this work, okay, I'm teaching people also raise your energy and they lower theirs. Because if you when you have communication with the other side, it's not, it's the communication changes, it's just a different language. You have to raise your energy, they lower theirs. So they, those on the other side, to cut, it's almost like, think about this, Stephen, okay, it's almost like diving in a pool, right? Eventually you have to come up for air. It's the same with them. They have to learn to lower their energy, okay? All right. I don't think it's just something, they have to work with us in partnership. They
Hmm.
lower their energy, we lower ours, and they begin to know. Remember, I told you about that psychic data bank that we have. They know what's in our mind. They know how to get a message across to us, but they have to also understand. I wonder what ability they have. They're trying to send us messages all the time, whether personally or as a medium. So they have to learn that myself, I am a very clear sentient like you to feel, and I'm a very clairvoyant to see images. Very rare will I hear, and I don't fight that. So I give what they given me, and I just give off the information. But they have to learn about how this person is too. And I've said this before in many classes, and I know you're talking about how they work with them, but when we begin to work with them, get to know your own soul first. And that's how I start helping people building their own soul, working on their issues, working on their stuff. So you're a clear channel for them. Yeah,
Mm, beautiful, John. Well, it's really clear just how much depth and mastery and tenderness you have with this whole process
I
to
love
really
it.
help people build the bridges. So let's talk about your upcoming course, which is a really extraordinary way to learn from you and really harvest some of these decades of work that you've done and apply it in our own after-death communication skills. So we're really blessed that John has agreed to teach this brand new course for Shift, and it's called Learn After Death Communication with John Holland. Become your own medium by developing conscious spirit contact. You can find it at the URL demystifymediumship.com, demystifymediumship.com. It's a 7 week program. You don't have to have any prerequisites, and it's really going to take you from wherever you are into a real and authentic connection, two-way communication. So, John, I'd love for you to share a little bit about some of your intentions for what people will come away with and how their lives shift as a result. And then let's go through the modules and what you'll be teaching.
I'd like for my intention for people is to have an education, to show them that their loved ones are in fact trying to communicate with them, mostly every single day. The intention is to get to know that they're not off in this cloud, that they're floating above you. The spirit world is right around us. That's my intention, to show you that the spirit world, we keep thinking that the spirit world is part of our world, when in fact we're part of theirs. That's the real place. Okay, that is the real place. So my intention is to give them a good education and to train people in a fun way too. Okay, the same way that I was trained, not just to be a medium, because that's not what this is. It's teaching them to be a medium themselves. My intention is to use the techniques that I have trained others in the way I was taught for themselves, for their own connection, for to help them to build their own bridge. Yeah.
Hmm. Beautiful. Module 1 is called Understand the Mechanics of Spirit Communication and Open to Subtle Impressions You May Already Be Receiving.
Right. And that's where we start off, Stephen. It's a foundation. Remember, I said I'm a big advocate of the mechanics of how this works. Okay, because you can take it so much more than just getting a sign. So we start off how they communicate with us on the other side, how we dismiss some of the signs that we're getting, how we overlook them, how to become a little more aware, and that's all in the very first one, and how to quiet the mind. It's a very noisy world out there, right, Stephen? And how can an intuitive hit or your loved one even get a message, okay? Unless you quiet your mind to hear their message. That's very, very important. And I work with the students on how to do that. There's many ways besides deep meditation.
Module 2, Discover and Strengthen Your Natural Intuitive Abilities and Learn to Trust Your Intuition.
One of my favorite topics. One of my favorite. Um, like we all have a psychic strength. We're all born, whether you're clairsentient to feel, clairaudient to hear, clairvoyant to see, or claircognizant, just knowing. So I help people, well, which one am I? Because some people, they want to be clairvoyant when they're a brilliant clairsentient to feel. So I work with the students. Let's figure out what you are. Okay, let's figure out, yeah. So that's what that one is. And basically, and to know when your intuition or those people on the other side, your loved ones, are knocking on your door. Yeah.
Module 3, Prepare yourself for contact and become more receptive through grounding, prayer, intention, and meditation.
Right. Learning simple ways to quiet the mind again, Stephen. That's going to be through the whole thing, because we so rely on phones and the outside world for stimuli. When your own mind has everything that you need. So we learn how prayer, how to set the intention, because why do you want to see them on the other side? Why? What is the purpose? Okay. Most likely it's because you love them, because you didn't have a last chance to say goodbye. You want to know for a fact that they are still with you. So meditation, intention, it all comes hand in hand. And we take it slow. That's why we're making this 7 weeks, not a 2 hour weekend class or something, or a 2 hour webinar. So little by little, we're going to build the intention, and you're going to start building the contact every week that goes by with me.
Module 4, Understand How Loved Ones Reach Out, Signs, Symbols, and After-Death Communication.
Yes. There are so many ways, because there are certain books that tell you how to do this too, but there are so many ways just besides getting the feather or the cardinal or the ladybug. Okay, you can actually hear, feel. Imagine feeling your loved one's presence, knowing that they're right there beside you. There's so many different ways that they come through, and they know how to come through to each one. So I'm going to be teaching the students the different ways that they come through, because you may have that certain ability also. And I discussed this earlier, they come through dreams sometimes. Sometimes they come through, you see someone else that looks just like them. So there are a lot of signs. And I also, this is a very important part. Am I making up this sign, or is this a really true sign? Is this my imagination? That's a big part of it also. And to teach you not to explain it all away.
Module 5, Connect with Loved Ones While You Sleep through Dream Incubation and Recall Techniques.
Another fascinating way. Okay. There are many ways that they come through. You've heard me say it before, right? But dreams are one of the ways that they do come through, which is after death communication and ADC. Dreams um, are fascinating. I was I learned the Edgar Casey technique also, and when I studied at the Edgar Casey Foundation, dreams are not these crazy things that's happening in your dream. Every there, I was taught too that no dream is wasted. Okay, your dreams, whether it's a loved one, your subconscious, your soul tries to speak to your dream. They're not these crazy things. Once you understand, see how passionate I get about this, the signs, the symbols, and the meaning you can also understand why you're having certain dreams, not just of your loved ones, okay? But it's a whole education in one module that they're going to learn, that they're going to use for the rest of their life. And also dream incubation. You have a loved one that you want to come through. There's certain ways that you write it down. Or you have an issue in your life too. That's another thing called dream incubation, where you get the answer inside your dream. You can tell I'm fascinated between the process and dreams because it's amazing. It's going to open up a whole new world of symbolism for you. Unbelievable. Yeah,
Module 6, strengthen your connection to the other side to trust the impressions and signs you receive.
right. And we're going to be probably working with each other. Okay. You know, I'll be working with them. You'll be working with each other because you're going to be practicing different signs with each other. You're going to learn also how to journal some of your signs, which is very important. And they say the first act of manifesting is writing something down. You're going to have a journal exercises also to write out different ways that they connect with you. Understand why doubt is normally how um, doubt is still sleeps even six lessons in 6 weeks. There's still that doubt. I'm going to teach you once again how to stop doing that, how to lessen that voice that's stopping you from doing this work, how to strengthen the ability as you might have a certain ability, like one of those clears, but every week and onward, you're going to build and build for that strength, strengthening your connection to the other side. You're building that bridge brick by brick, little by little. So it's fascinating. Yeah.
And finally, module 7, maintain connection in your everyday life by focusing on love awareness and receptivity.
Well, in the final week also, it doesn't just end. Okay. You'll have a connection. It's not just getting the feather or the cardinal or the ladybug anymore. You're aware of the spiritual realms here that's around us. And stay away once again from like the show and the movies, everyone, okay? You're going to be more aware. Instead of just getting that sign, you're going to see the signs from your loved one. You're going to see how they use nature. You're going to see how they use other people, how they use certain words that show up in front of you. It's just going to get stronger and stronger as you do this. And to maintain the connection, you will not lose the connection once the 7 weeks is over. Okay. It's going to get stronger and stronger. And you know what, too, Stephen, the most fascinating thing I find, you're going to learn how to have that connection to the other side, how they communicate with you, how to ask them the right way to ask questions. But it's going to open you up to the spirit world to help you get some answers, to show you that they're still here and guiding you and giving you the help that they can. But it's also going to help you with the people here. It's going to open you to the unseen world of nature, the universe. It's amazing. It's going to open up you in more ways than you could ever imagine. It's absolutely fascinating. I'm thrilled to be part of it and for to doing it with Shift.
Hmm. What a beautiful offering. And it's really clear, like this, the depth of experience you have in teaching so many people and thousands of readings. And so it's remarkable to have access to this in-depth program with you. So John, what a blessing. So again, there's more detail on each of those modules at demystifymediumship.com. In addition to the 7 90-minute live sessions, which are each going to be a great time to do practices together, which really has more power to it, as well as to have your questions addressed live. You also get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word for word transcripts. So it gives you a chance to go back, really study things you might have missed, and really get the practices deep into your bones. There's weekly practices for home. There's a community group that supports you and also creates bridges across the world and really lifelong friendships sometimes. And on the page, you also see John's been very generous with additional bonuses for us. There's a PDF guide called Capture Intuitive Impressions, the Spiritual Reflections Journal. I want to share more about that PDF guide.
It's very colorful, and we all get different signs, Stephen, in different ways. Like an apple may mean a school teacher to you, where someone else it means New York City. So that helps you. Every sign you get, every symbol you have, whether it's intuitive or from your loved one, is going to mean something different to you. Okay, what does it mean to you? And that PDF helps you to help you build your psychic data bank.
Hmm. That's just the first bonus. Then there's a second bonus. It's a guided audio meditation that John's created called Healing Relaxation for Body and Mind. I'll share more about that guided audio meditation.
Sure, we are a vessel. Okay, a vessel, and based on energy, it helps you to, with every cell, it helps in every fiber of your being. It helps you to open up your energy centers from head to your toe, bringing more energy in and bringing it down. Okay, to tune up and to tune it down. It's beautiful. It helps every cell. It's a very healthy, relaxing meditation.
Hmm. Great. And there's several other bonuses in this package. Do you want to share about a couple more of these?
The soul shift technique. When I was in England, they always taught me, John, raise your consciousness. In the beginning, I didn't know what that was. So they teach you to raise your consciousness because your soul essence is above you. You're a soul that comes with a body, not a body that comes with the soul. So you have to remember just a piece of you. Your piece of your soul is here. The rest is there. So the soul shift meditation gets you ready for spirit communication. It gets you out of your head and into your soul energy where you can merge with the universe and those on the other side. Fantastic technique, the soul shift meditation.
And let's hear about one more.
Opening yourself to ADCs, calling cards from heaven. In the special pre-recorded video, I take you even deeper into understanding after-death communication, ADCs, and how it can unfold in clear and meaningful ways. These experiences are not limited to a few, but can happen naturally when you begin to recognize how spirit communicates beyond words. It's a different language.
Beautiful. And then there's one final bonus, which is actually our special bonus for anyone who signs up today by midnight tonight Pacific time. It's actually a group mediumship reading demonstration. It's a whole 90-minute live online event, and it's really showcasing John in action with people within the program as well. So do you want to share more about that live demonstration that you'll do with everyone who signs up by midnight tonight?
Sure. There's nothing better than to show people. I like doing demonstrations. I'm a teaching medium. So I don't, as I'm bringing through certain signs or symbols, I talk about how oh, look at that. They're showing me it that way. Oh, they're giving me my tree, or they're showing me my pond. So I explain how I'm getting symbols. And so as a teaching, I said, wouldn't it be great to do a proper mediumship demonstration for the attendees? Where I'm going to be doing messages. And I explained every inch of the way of how I'm receiving the information and then giving it and see who I'm with and how it works. Like I said, Stephen, always fascinated of how it works.
Yeah, well, that's going to be really such a blessing for everybody who signs up right away. Well, it's really clear, John, just the depth of commitment. I mean, the fact that you just were, you were really born into this from a very young age and trained extensively in so many directions, and you've just done decades of work and books and workshops, and so it's really great to be able to access all that accumulated wisdom that you've really gathered from a lifetime of doing this work. We've kept the investment very accessible. It's just three payments of $128. You can save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start June 22nd and run Monday at 11 Pacific, 2 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings and transcripts in the community as well. There's some great testimonials on the page from some of the most preeminent teachers and pioneers like Brian Weiss, Anita Morjani, and Gabby Bernstein, and lots of students as well. So you're in really good hands with John, and you are going to come away with some very clear skills that enable this to become a lived reality for you, to make communication with the other side a lived reality that really heals your heart, opens your life, and really creates a beautiful collaboration. So, John, anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering joining you for the full course?
Well, I'm thrilled to be teaching this. I get excited about teaching it. As you can see, I get excited still watching it when it happens, and I get excited with seeing students go experiencing it for themselves. And here's what I see all the time. People ask for the same sign year after year or week after week, month after month. And it's not that the signs aren't there. People aren't getting the sign. It's just then it's not that the sign isn't there. It's not that your loved ones aren't trying. It's simply that no one ever handed them an instruction manual, Stephen. No one's ever handed them the instruction manual. This 7-week course, it is the instruction manual, and it
Mhm.
will help you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for creating this instruction manual. It's such an important skill. I think it really has the power to change each of our lives and the future to really open this doorway of communication and working with spirits in a collaborative way. So again, it's all at demystifymediumship.com, and you will get that special 90-minute live demonstration session, the group mediumship reading demonstration when you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you, John. Thank you all for
Thank you, sir.
joining.
Thank you.
Many blessings to you all. Look forward to seeing many of you in the upcoming course with John.